So you started something big, and maybe a business, maybe a channel, but you notice the silence from the crowd around you is deafening. Hey y'all, me Zuber in Mind. Now I want to talk to y'all about something today that's going to be kind of deep. Now I want to talk about why creators don't get the support that they need and what we can do about that. Let's talk about the emotional toll. Now, it's not just business, it's personal. You share your heart with your art most of the time. The people that you expect to show up and clap the loudest are no-show. Now, I've experienced that many times. I've experienced that through my exhibitions. No family members coming through. None of my friends coming through. None of my creative friends even coming through. Or, you get them times where your creative friends do come through, but it's really because they want to get themselves put on. Or it's when, they just want to see and, basically be nosy. I've had all those experiences, and you can't really let that, be a burden on you. Being a creative is one of the most lonely journeys you can go on. A lot of creators will tell you that. Some of the most lonely work you can do. Some of the most expressive and some of the most beautiful work you can do. But it's also majorly a lonely road. And I know a lot of times people want to feel they want to take all their friends with them. And they all want to, be out there doing everything with their friends and have everybody celebrate them. But a lot of times, you can't be a hero in your own hometown. Now, you got to think about cultural context if you're a minority a lot of times. Like in my community, we have a lot of survival mindset. It's not a lot of things being pushed out there as far as being a business owner or being an artist or being a creative or anything like that. It's more so, being in safety, or surviving, things like that. Getting a job and working it 30, 40 years and retiring, things like that. Oftentimes it's not really pushed out there for us to go on our own or make our own choices and things like that. So, that's where a lot of support becomes lost to us because, people don't see us doing that and they don't understand it and they don't want to support it. So that is another thing you got to think about is just that cultural context. And a lot of different cultures have that. We've all heard the artists out there talk about, their African parents. Carl Shakur just was on the 505 podcast and he talked about that, how his parents just didn't really understand, especially his dad. He went and got an architectural degree, but he ended up wanting to do photography and being a photographer, and his dad just really didn't understand that. So we had to kind of show him the way of how to support him. And also we hear the stories about, the Asian artists out there that, have those Asian parents that are like, what are you doing? Like, this is a waste of time. I want you to be a doctor or lawyer, things like that. And a lot of times it's just how we're looked at. So that's another thing we got to deal with is that cultural context. The next thing we're going to talk about is the psychology of it all. Now, sometimes not getting support isn't hate, it's more fear. A lot of times people have never stepped into your shoes. They never have been a creative. They've never tried to be an artist or anything like that. They just stuck to that 9-to-5 job and that was it. And that's all they know. And a lot of times these people are speaking out of fear. And, of course, you can get hate sometimes and people can, not want you to succeed and things like that. But a lot of times, especially in our parental situations, it's a lot of fear. Like, they've never done anything like that. They didn't grow up like that. They didn't grow up to, kind of get out there and follow their dreams. our parents are, come from a time where they may have been segregation and things like that, or they may have been racism and things like that that kept them from doing certain things in their lives. And this day and time, I'm a first generation millennial. I am the one of the many that started the whole millennial thing. And with that is, a lot of people just don't really get the fact that we want to, steer our own ships. We don't want somebody else dictating our lives and telling us how to live, because we realize at the end of the day, when they turn our lights out, they're only turning my lights out. However you lived your life, you're going to live it the way you want to live it. But why should I let you tell me how to live mine when at the end of the day I have to be comfortable with the way I lived? If I wanted to be an artist, I have to deal with, the ups and downs of being an artist and be satisfied with that. And at the end of the day, you don't really want to be there sitting there saying, man, I wish I would have did this, I wish I would have did that, when it's too late. So that's a big thing. But that generational divide doesn't really allow at times for, our parents or, our relatives or maybe even our older friends to really, grasp why you're doing what you're doing. And it's more about, job security or being safe. So that is a thing that we have to deal with at times. The next thing I want to say is you're not alone. Like, this is something that many artists deal with. I deal with it. Sometimes along the way you will find people that will support you in the way that a lot of us need to be supported. Don't feel that you're alone. You just got to find your tribe. They're out there somewhere. And that could be through you getting on YouTube and starting a channel and starting to, show what you can do or talk to people about the things that you think about. You will find your tribe. I started my YouTube channel in November, and I'm up to like 60 subscribers. I know to a lot of people that's not a lot, but that's 60 subscribers that I didn't have before. And that's 60 subscribers that, check out the content, or, a lot of people that aren't subscribed check out your content as well, and they become subscribers, because that is, y'all resonating with each other. So don't ever think you're out here alone and you don't have anybody. You just really got to get out there and find your tribe. All right, so let's talk about the healing or dealing with the whole situation of not getting support. Now, a lot of people out there, especially in minority communities, you can start getting resentful of people and, things like that. And you kind of really got to think about it. You got to realize, too, your creative peers, maybe your peers, but at times you guys also are competitors. That's just the nature of the beast. They're also competitors, and sometimes you got those, peer friends that, not really there to support you or anything. They just want to keep an eye on what you're doing. And sometimes they want to top you and things like that. And that's just part of the game, and you just got to deal with that and put people where they belong. And then also with your other friends and family, you got to know, like, hey, if this person isn't coming to support me, I'm not going to keep telling them about my show. They're not worried about my show. You kind of got to learn where to place people in your life. So, you just got to realize that maybe the support you want, may look a little different than what your mind expects. And if somebody isn't showing up, but hey, they'll say, hey, I want to buy you a lens filter or something to support. Hey, that's somebody that's supporting, man. They just can't show up to the shows, and you got to realize that and be cool with that. It's just part of life. But anyway, final thing I want to say is, you guys, you creatives out there, you're not alone. This is something, maybe your favorite creator that you watch on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Kick, Twitch, anything, like, a lot of them are dealing with this, long, lonely road themselves. So a lot of them don't come out just saying it online. It's something that a lot of us deal with. Keep on creating, keep moving forward, and start going to, conventions or conferences and things like that, and you'll start to meet other like-minded people. If you're a photographer, start doing exhibitions, you'll meet other artists doing exhibitions, and you guys are probably gonna realize like, hey, we deal with the same thing. Let's keep in contact and keep the dialogue going. So do that. But if this video resonated with any of you guys out there, or our artists that this will resonate with, go ahead and share it. Be afraid to share your story down below. If you are a person that's dealing with one of the things I talked about in this video, please share your stories. Have a conversation with the community, and keep the conversation going and cheer each other on. But anyway, that's my time. It's been your boy Zuber Mind. If you guys feel so inclined to, go ahead, like, comment, share this video. And if you want to check out anything else, check out these videos above, and I'll check you guys out later. All right, peace.